Shalom, beautiful people. Hello. I hope you are doing well, that you are blessed. We're continuing with our 7-day series celebrating International Women's Day by looking at a different woman in the Bible. And today we are looking at Sarah. Now, a lot of us know Sarah because she was blessed with having a child while she was way past childbearing age. I believe the word is geriatric. Hey, she was beyond the geriatric, right? But she still had herself a baby. She was the wife to Abraham, and she was the mother of Isaac. And I don't have a specific scripture to look at today. Read through Genesis, read through the whole Bible. You'll find great references. But I mean, we hear a lot about Sarah throughout the book of Genesis. And two things specifically that I wanted to point out around Sarah, right? So, when Abraham gets the promise to say that him and Sarah will have a child, he is called Abram without the ham, and she's just called Sarai, not Sarah. And one of the things that happens is that for a couple of years they have this promise and it doesn't seem to be coming to pass. And Sarah goes, you know, maybe God did not mean us. Maybe he meant it was for us, but via somebody else. And so she then suggests to Abram, that he unite with her maidservant Hagar to have a child. To have a child, and then the child that they have then is Ishmael. And still after that, God says, "Nah, boo, I've promised y'all a child." And then God changes their names to Abraham and Sarah. And then sometime after that, they then have their first child. Well, their only child, but the first child. So the first aspect that I want to highlight is one, having the faith and the belief that God will do what he said he would do, and trusting that in God doing what he said that he would do, that he doesn't need our help, right? God doesn't need our assistance. I mean, who are we to help the maker of the universe do what he needs to do when he made the universe? Okay, so question to you is, how often do you kind of look at your circumstances and look at a promise that God has given you and kind of go, I think God is taking too long. I think God doesn't know what he's doing. I think God maybe has forgotten about me. And you take those things, what you think should be happening, into your hands to produce a result that is a good result, that's a happy result, that's a fulfilling result to an extent, but isn't the result that God wanted for you, right? So Sarah probably thought that by Abraham and Hagar having a child together, she could fulfill that desire of having a child and wanting her husband to have a child as well. And sure, that child came, but she then also finds herself in a position where she's looking at Abraham and Hagar raising a child together, and she's like, damn, I wish that was me, right? So being able to trust God in the fullness of the process of the cycle of the thing that he's promised, even when it doesn't seem in the flesh to appear that anything is happening, to trust that in the spirit things are happening and that they will manifest in the flesh, and to be careful and to call yourself out in those moments when you kind of go, okay, I'm gonna I see you in the wheel, Jesus. I don't feel like you're doing the thing, so let me drive for a little bit and see how it goes. The second thing is the name change, right? That a lot of us have a calling on our lives, that we've been sent to do some things, a lot of things, many things, right? Doesn't matter what you've been called to do with it. It's 2 talents, 4 talents, 5 talents. You've been called to do things. And we oftentimes don't step into the purpose or the fullness of the thing that we're supposed to do because people around us have said they don't believe we should do it, or they don't think we can do it. They don't think we're capable. They don't believe that we're the ones to do it, right? So my question to you is, what are the names that people have called you by? What are the things that people have put on you that have made you believe or think that you can't, or maybe even made you doubt your talent, your giftings, and the things that you are able to do? And what's the new name that you need to give yourself, right? I think for a lot of traditions, naming a child is very important. So the name that your parents have given you is probably, if your parents give you a good name, is a testament to part of what your calling is, right? But if your parents didn't give you a good name, it's to go, who does God say I am? And what is the name that I then need to answer to that speaks to the alignment of who I'm going to be, right? So Abraham's name, Abraham, it meant father, and Abraham meant father of nations, right? Which was the promise that God had given him. And equally, Sarai, her name being changed then also meant that she was a mother to the nations. So, what name change do you need to have? It could be literal in the terms of, your name. Actually, when people call you by your name doesn't mean um, something that you would like to answer to. So maybe you go through a process of going, guys, please don't call me that, call me this. Or maybe people mispronounce your name, or maybe people use a nickname that like people gave you when you were a child, and that's the nickname that everyone's used, but people don't actually call you by your name, and your name is the thing that God has called you to do, right? And it could be things that people have spoken to you. So you kind of have to go like, these people don't carry my dream. They don't carry the vision that I had. They don't support it. And so I need to find other people to share this with. But I also need a new name to answer to, because what the world, what the streets, what the people, what have said is not true of me, and it's not true of who God has called me to be. And then I think the final thing, when it comes to looking at Sarah, is trusting the passage of time and trusting God to do what seems to be the impossible in a season when you think it can't happen. And for a lot of us, we look at life and we kind of go like, oh, that season has passed. If I was meant to do this, it should have happened then. If that was meant for me, it would have happened then. If my life was going to be different, it would be different by now already. And I have this thing that I love to say to my friends where I go, life can change in an instant. Life can be different, radically different in a year. So equally for you as well, to go, where are the areas in your life that you need to submit that to God and trust that things can radically change? So looking at Sarah, where are the areas in your life where you need to submit and surrender and go, you know what, Jesus, take the wheel for real, for real. Secondly, what are the things that you need to change? What's the name that you're answering to, being aligned to the thing that you're called to? And finally, going, how's your trust looking? Like, especially in the season that you find yourself in. I know a few people that I've spoken to have said February this year was flames. So, for you as well, where are some of the areas in your life that you need to trust, that you might be lacking some trust, and how are you navigating that space? Please do comment below. I'd love to hear from you and to know, what do you personally take away from Sarah's story, and what do you see in Sarah that resonates with you, and what are some of the things that you learn from Sarah?